Dear friend, have you ever noticed how two people can be the same age and feel completely different to be around? They might both be 72, they might both have gray hair, the same wrinkles, the same number of birthdays behind them. And yet, one person feels like a soft chair you can finally sink into. You leave them lighter, more yourself, less afraid of saying the wrong thing. The other person feels sharp, not necessarily loud, not necessarily cruel, just sharp. A quick correction, a little sigh of disapproval, a joke that has teeth, a tone that makes you shrink without knowing why. And you walk away from them with your shoulders a little higher, your chest a little tighter, like you've been bracing for something you can't quite name. It's one of the quiet mysteries of aging. Some people get kinder. They become gentler, more forgiving, more spacious. They listen more. They judge less. They carry a warmth that makes others feel safe. And some people, without even meaning to, turn sharp. They become quick to criticize, quick to suspect, quick to point out what's wrong, quick to make you feel like you're being examined instead of loved. Now, this isn't a video about labeling people. It's not about looking around and deciding who's good and who's bad. It's about something much more personal. Because if we live long enough, we all face this question. What kind of elder will I become? Not in the dramatic ways, in the ordinary ways, in the way we speak to the cashier, in the way we talk about our children, in the way we respond when someone disagrees with us, in the way we enter a room. Do we bring comfort or do we bring tension? And here is the truth I've come to believe. Aging doesn't automatically make us wise. It reveals what we've been practicing all along. The years are like a spotlight. They don't invent your spirit. They show it more clearly. If you've been practicing resentment, it hardens. If you've been practicing contempt, it sharpens. If you've been practicing mercy, it softens. If you've been practicing humility, it deepens. Age doesn't decide who you become. Practice does. And the good news, the hopeful news, is this. Practice can change. You don't have to become the kind of person people endure. You can become the kind of person people feel safe around. Not by pretending, not by forcing positivity, but by choosing, quietly, what you will keep feeding inside yourself. So today, let's talk about the small habits that harden a person without them noticing, and the small habits that soften a person over time. No shame, just honesty. Because the older we get, the more our presence becomes our legacy, and we still get to choose what our presence will feel like. When I say sharp, I don't mean evil. I don't mean a person is hopeless or unlovable or beyond repair. I mean something most of us have felt in a room before. Sharp is when kindness feels conditional. Sharp is when you can't relax around someone because you're always slightly on guard. You're waiting for the correction, the eye roll, the little comment that makes you feel foolish. The, well, actually, that turns a simple moment into a contest. Sharp can sound like, why would you do it that way? That's not how it works. You're wrong. You always. You never. Sometimes it's disguised as humor. The joke that lands and then leaves a bruise. The teasing that sounds playful, but you can feel the contempt underneath. Sometimes it's disguised as truth. I'm just being honest. People are too sensitive these days. I'm the only one who tells it like it is. But telling it like it is not the same as being kind. Truth without tenderness becomes a weapon, and many people don't realize they've started using it that way. So why does sharpness happen? Often, it isn't personality. It's pain. It's unprocessed disappointment. It's grief that never got a place to go. It's a lifetime of carrying too much without being cared for. It's the feeling, quietly held for years, of being unseen. Some people become sharp because they spent decades swallowing their needs, and now their needs come out sideways. Some people become sharp because the world changed and they feel left behind. They don't trust what they don't understand, so they criticize it. Some people become sharp because their body hurts. Chronic pain has a way of shrinking a person's patience. So does poor sleep. So does fear, especially the fear that comes with aging. Fear of becoming dependent, fear of being forgotten, fear of losing control, fear of losing respect. When fear sits in a person long enough, it becomes edge. And then there's another reason that's very common and rarely said plainly. Some people become sharp because they've been living in a private courtroom. They've been collecting evidence for years, evidence of who failed them, who disappointed them, who didn't appreciate them, who didn't show up the way they should have. And when you live in a courtroom, you start speaking like a judge. You start scanning every conversation for what's wrong. You start correcting instead of connecting. You start noticing flaws faster than you notice beauty. Sharpness is often what happens when tenderness goes unprotected. It hardens to survive. And this is where aging comes in. Because when you're younger, you can hide some of this behind busyness. Work, kids, motion, noise. But as life slows down, the inner life gets louder. The habits you've practiced, complaining, judging, rehearsing old wounds, assuming the worst, start to take up more space. And the people around you feel it. They feel it as tension. They start watching their words. They visit less. They keep things surface level. They don't call as much, which then makes the sharp person feel even more disappointed and even more justified. It becomes a loop. And friend, here's the gentle point of this part. If you've noticed a little sharpness in yourself, if you've caught yourself correcting too quickly, criticizing too easily, snapping at people you love, that doesn't mean you're bad. It means something in you is tired or scared or carrying an old ache. And the reason I'm naming it is not to shame you. It's to give you power. Because once you can name a habit, you can change what you feed. In the next part, we'll talk about the quiet habits that harden a person over time. So subtle, you often don't notice them until you look back and realize your warmth has thinned. Hardness rarely arrives as a decision. Most people don't wake up and say, "Today I'll become bitter." It arrives the way a shoreline erodes, a little at a time. And that's why it's worth talking about the small habits, the daily practices that can harden a person without them noticing. Not to point fingers, to protect your own heart. Because later in life, the heart deserves protection. Habit 1. Keeping a private courtroom. This one is so common, especially for people who have been hurt. You replay old conversations. You build the case again. You imagine what you should have said. You collect evidence. See, they always do this. See, they never cared. See, I was right. And when you live in a courtroom,
You start seeing life through a verdict.
Even good moments get filtered through suspicion. Someone offers kindness, and you wonder what they want. Someone compliments you, and you wonder if it's sincere. Someone is quiet, and you assume it means rejection. A private courtroom makes you constantly prepared to be wronged again, and being prepared all the time is exhausting. Habit 2. Needing to be right as a form of safety. Some people don't cling to being right because they're arrogant. They cling to it because it makes them feel safe. If I'm right, I'm in control. If I'm right, I can't be embarrassed. If I'm right, I can't be dismissed. So they correct. They fix details. They interrupt. They argue small points that don't matter, not because they love conflict, because they fear being powerless. But when being right becomes a daily reflex, it does something to your relationships. People stop sharing things with you, not because they don't love you, because they don't want to be corrected. They want to be met, not measured. Habit 3. Speaking in contempt, especially disguised as humor. This is one of the most dangerous habits because it often feels harmless. A little jab, a sarcastic comment, a joke about someone's weight, their choices, their marriage, their generation, their beliefs. You tell yourself you're just being funny, but contempt has a smell. People can feel it, and it trains your mind to look for what's wrong. It teaches your heart to take a superior position, and superiority is a lonely place to live because you can't be close to people you look down on. Habit 4. Making complaint your daily language. There's a difference between naming something hard and living in complaint. Complaint becomes a habit when it's your first response to everything. The service is bad. The world is going downhill. People are rude. Nothing works. The weather is wrong. The food isn't like it used to be. The neighbors are annoying. And yes, some of those things may be true. But when complaint becomes your default language, it changes what your mind notices. You start scanning for irritation. You start finding proof that the world is disappointing. And over time, your face tightens. Your patience shortens. Your presence becomes heavy. Not because you mean to burden others, but because you've trained your attention to live in negativity. It's not that you're honest. It's that you're practicing bitterness. Habit 5. Refusing wonder. I've seen it all. This is the quiet hardening of the spirit. The moment you stop being curious. When you dismiss new music, new ideas, new people, new ways of living. When everything becomes, that's stupid. That's not how we did it. That's not real. That'll never last. Wonder is what keeps a person young on the inside, not trendiness. Wonder, the ability to be surprised, to be moved, to learn, to say, tell me more. When wonder dies, sharpness grows, because cynicism is often just a disappointment that got comfortable. Habit 6. Holding yourself to impossible standards. This one hides behind being responsible. You expect yourself to never need help, to always be strong, to always be the one who handles it. And when you can't meet that standard because you're human, you become impatient with yourself. And when you're impatient with yourself, you become impatient with others. Hardness often begins as self-hardness. A person who can't forgive themselves has trouble forgiving anyone else, so they tighten, they judge, they correct, they snap, because everything feels like failure. Now listen,
none of this means you're doomed. It means you're practicing something. And practice creates a person. The good news is, if habits can harden us, habits can soften us too. Not with fake sweetness,
with real changes in what we feed. So in the next part, we'll talk about the quiet habits that soften a person over time. The ones that make an older adult feel safe, wise, and warm to be around. The kind of person people breathe easier near. And maybe the kind of person you want to be. Softness doesn't happen by accident either. It's not just a personality trait some people are born with. Softness is built. It's practiced. And the older you get, the more you can see it on someone, not just in what they say, but in how they move through the world. Soft people are not weak people. They are often the strongest people in the room because they've learned how to carry life without turning it into a weapon. So what are the habits that soften a person over time? Let's name a few. Habit 1. Practicing mercy, starting with yourself. The kindest elders I've known are rarely the ones who had easy lives. They're often the ones who suffered and didn't let suffering make them cruel. And a big part of that is self-mercy. They don't speak to themselves like an enemy. They don't punish themselves for being human. They can say, "I did my best. I didn't know then what I know now. I'm learning." And because they offer that mercy inward, they can offer it outward. People who are gentle with themselves don't need to be sharp with others. Habit 2. Choosing curiosity over judgment. Curiosity is one of the most underrated forms of love. It sounds simple, but it changes everything. Instead of, "What's wrong with people these days?" Curiosity asks, "What happened to them? What are they carrying? What am I missing?" Instead of correcting immediately, a softened person asks a question. Instead of assuming the worst, they stay open long enough to be surprised. Curiosity doesn't mean you approve of everything. It just means you don't rush to contempt. And contempt is what hardens a heart faster than almost anything. Habit 3. Gratitude as attention training, not forced positivity. Real gratitude isn't pretending life is perfect. Real gratitude is learning to notice what is still good. The warmth of sunlight on the kitchen floor, a friend who answers the phone, the way coffee smells in the morning, a grandchild's laugh, a quiet hour with no bad news. Gratitude is not a mood. It's a practice of attention, and attention shapes your spirit. If you spend your attention on what's wrong, you grow sharp. If you spend some of your attention on what's tender, you grow softer. Habit 4. Admitting, "I might be wrong." This habit alone can make a person feel like safety, because nothing is more relaxing than being around someone who doesn't need to win. A softened person can say, "I could be mistaken. I didn't know that. That's a good point." And that humility creates warmth. It tells people, "You don't have to defend yourself around me." Humility is one of the quietest forms of wisdom, and it keeps you from becoming the kind of elder who corrects everyone into silence. Habit 5. Protecting your tenderness. This is practical. Soft people protect the parts of themselves that keep them kind. They rest. They don't pick every fight. They don't live on outrage. They don't stay in conversations that poison their nervous system. They choose fewer battles so they can stay gentle. They know, if I'm exhausted,
I'm sharper.
If I'm overstimulated, I'm impatient. If I'm living in stress, I lose my warmth. So they simplify. They build little pockets of quiet. They don't apologize for needing peace, because they know peace keeps them human. Habit 6. Speaking blessing instead of sting. This doesn't mean you lie. It means you choose what your words are for. A softened person doesn't use language to win. They use language to connect. They can still tell the truth, but they don't make the truth a blade. They learn to pause before speaking and ask themselves gently, will this help? Will this heal? Will this be remembered as kindness? And because they practice that pause, their presence becomes calmer, safer, more spacious. Friend, I want to say this clearly. Softness is not denying your pain. Softness is what happens when pain is handled with humility instead of turned into edge. Softness is strength that is learned how to bow. And if you've ever been around someone like that, someone whose kindness feels steady and real, you know how rare it is. You also know how beautiful it is. Now, the most important part of this video isn't only those people, it's us. Because somewhere along the way, we all develop a little edge. Life gives it to us. So in the next part, we'll talk about the moment you notice your own edge, the little signs you're getting sharper than you want to be, and the honest pivot that can bring you back to yourself without becoming fake. Most people don't notice they're becoming sharp because it doesn't feel like sharpness on the inside. On the inside, it often feels like fatigue. It feels like, I'm just tired. I don't have patience for this anymore. People are ridiculous. Why is everything so hard? Why can't anyone do things the right way? And maybe you are tired. Maybe you've been carrying too much. Maybe your body hurts. Maybe sleep isn't what it used to be. Maybe your life has had losses you never fully spoke about. So your edge becomes understandable. But here's the moment that matters, the moment that changes a person. When you catch yourself and think, I don't want to become someone people endure. Not someone they love from a distance. Not someone they visit out of duty and leave relieved. Not someone they walk on eggshells around. That thought, if you're willing to face it, can be a gift. Because it means you still care about the kind of presence you are. And often, the edge shows itself in small ways first. You snap at the people you love over little things. You correct strangers as if it's your job. You feel irritated before you even enter the room. You assume the worst about motives. You speak in a tone you would never have used years ago. Sometimes you hear it in your own voice, and it surprises you. Sometimes you see it on someone's face, the slight flinch, and you realize your words landed harder than you meant. And then later, you feel that quiet ache of regret. Not because you want to be nice, because you want to be you. The you that used to have more softness. The you that used to laugh easier. The you that didn't feel like everything was a problem to fix or a mistake to correct. So what do you do with that moment? You don't shame yourself. Shame makes people sharper. You don't make a grand promise you won't keep. You don't try to become a different person overnight. You just do something honest. You admit that your edge is trying to tell you something. Edge is often a messenger. It can be the messenger of grief, of loneliness,
of feeling overlooked, of fear, of exhaustion, of a heart that hasn't been held in a long time. Sometimes sharpness is simply what happens when tenderness has been alone too long.
So you ask yourself, gently, what am I carrying that's making me react like this? What am I afraid of? What do I need that I'm not admitting I need? For some people, it's respect. They feel invisible now, and the edge is how they announce they still matter. For some people, it's safety. They feel the world changing, and the edge is their attempt to control what they can. For some people, it's grief. They've lost people, youth, health, certainty, and the grief never got a place to go, so it leaked into their tone. And for many people, it's simply this: they've been living too long without enough rest, tenderness, or true companionship. So irritation becomes their default language because they're running on fumes. Friend, if any of this feels familiar, I want you to hear this part with kindness. Noticing your edge means you haven't lost your heart. It means your heart is asking for care. And the pivot is not pretending to be sweet. The pivot is choosing a different practice. Because you don't become kinder by forcing a smile. You become kinder by feeding what softens you, by taking care of the parts of you that keep you human, by choosing, over and over again, what you will practice in the ordinary moments. And that's what the next part is about. How to change without becoming fake. How to soften without denying your pain. How to become the kind elder, not for other people's approval, but because you want to live in a heart that feels like home. You don't have to become a brand new person. You don't have to start talking like a greeting card. You don't have to pretend everything is fine. Real kindness is not performance, it's practice. And practice is made of small choices, so small they almost don't feel like change at first. Here are a few that matter. Pause before you correct. This is one of the simplest shifts and one of the most powerful. When you feel the urge to say, "No, that's not right," pause. Ask yourself one quiet question. Is correction necessary? Or is connection more important right now? Sometimes correction is necessary. Safety matters. Truth matters. But most of the time, we correct because it makes us feel in control. And if you can practice letting one small mistake pass, you'll feel your heart soften in real time. Replace the jab with one warm question. Sharpness often speaks in jabs. Kindness often speaks in questions. Instead of, "Why would you do it like that?" try, "How are you doing these days? What's been on your mind? What are you looking forward to?" A warm question changes the temperature of a room, and it reminds you that people are more than their habits. Bless instead of sting. Not in a religious way unless that's your language. I mean, choose words that leave people better, not smaller. A simple, "It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. You've been on my mind." These are small sentences, but they build a reputation around you. A reputation of warmth. And warmth is a kind of power in later life. Let one thing go each day. Hardness often comes from gripping too tightly, so practice loosening. Let one comment pass. Let one irritation go unspoken. Let one minor injustice be minor. Not because you're weak, because you're choosing what deserves your energy. Kindness isn't always doing more.
Sometimes it's choosing not to spend your spirit on what isn't worth it. Feed your nervous system what keeps you gentle. This is practical, and it's not glamorous. Rest makes you kinder. Quiet makes you kinder. Less outrage makes you kinder. A softened person is often someone who protects their inner weather. They don't marinate in news all day. They don't argue in comment sections.
They don't keep a steady stream of irritation playing in the background. They choose music, walks, prayer, a book, a garden, a friend. Small things that return them to themselves. Because you cannot stay tender on a diet of constant stress. Make amends quickly, without drama. If you snap, you don't have to spiral into shame. You can simply return. I was short with you. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that tone. I'm having a hard day, but that's not your fault. This isn't humiliation. It's humility. And humility is what keeps you from becoming sharp permanently. Friend, none of these are big philosophies. They're small practices. And that's the point. Aging reveals what we practice. So if you practice softness in small doses, softness becomes your default. Not fake sweetness, real warmth. The kind that makes your own life feel lighter too. Because sharpness hurts the people around you, but it also hurts you. It keeps you tense. It keeps you lonely. It keeps you braced. Kindness, practiced honestly, lets you breathe. Now let me close this letter with a blessing, because at the end of the day, we're not trying to be better than anyone. We're trying to become the kind of elder we would have felt safe with when we were younger. That's what I hope for you. Dear friend, the longer you live, the more you understand something quiet and true. You don't just live your life, you bring something into rooms. You bring a tone, a spirit, a feeling. People may forget the details of what you said, but they remember how their body felt around you. Did they feel safe? Did they feel small? Did they feel welcomed? Did they feel braced? And that's why this matters. Not because you're trying to be perfect, but because the older we get, the simpler the question becomes. What do I want to practice with the years I have left? Because aging doesn't automatically make us wise. It reveals what we've been practicing all along. So if you've noticed sharpness in yourself, if you've felt your patience thinning, your irritation rising faster than it used to, please don't turn that into shame. Shame hardens people. Instead, let it become an invitation to protect your tenderness, to grieve what needs grieving, to rest what needs resting, to forgive what needs forgiving, to loosen your grip on being right all the time, to choose one warm sentence instead of one sharp one, not to impress anyone, to live in a heart that feels like home. Because the truth is, kindness isn't only a gift you give other people, it's a gift you give yourself. A kinder spirit is a lighter spirit. A softer person sleeps better, laughs easier, carries less tension in their shoulders, feels less alone. And friend, if there is one blessing I want for you as the years move forward, it is this. May you become the older person people breathe easier around. May you become the person whose presence feels like a soft lamp in the evening. The person who can tell the truth without bruising. The person who doesn't need to win. The person who still has wonder. Not because life was easy, but because you chose again and again to practice mercy.
And when the day comes that someone younger thinks of you, may they not think they were always upset, they were always correcting. May they think they were kind, they made me feel safe, they made life feel gentler. Because that is a legacy that outlives money. It outlives accomplishments. It outlives even the stories.
A warm spirit stays. So tonight, take a quiet breath and choose what you'll practice tomorrow. A little less complaint, a little more gratitude, a little less correction, a little more curiosity. Not fake, just human. Good night, friend, and may the years ahead reveal the kindness you choose to practice.